This is Daniela Camboni for Kitco News, and we have a brand new edition of At the Bar, but it feels like more like At the Clubhouse. But joining me, as always, is Mickey Fulp of the Mercenary Geologist and Brent Cook of Exploration Insights. Gentlemen, as usual, let's make a toast.
Salute.
Salute, salute.
Salute.
Oops. And we are sporting Band-Aids today, and it's not a fashion statement. Things got a little bit dramatic earlier in the day. But on that theme, I'd like to just say that you two are really known for having always called a spade a spade. You're really known for your honesty, but sometimes that gets us into some trouble. Brett?
Palm Springs rougher than people would think. This is a rough town, I'll tell you. It is. It's in our business. We have to, make a call on a company or a project, and the reality is most of these projects aren't going to make it. And we make those sorts of calls, and it's difficult to do because a lot of these people are your friends, or you deal with them on a daily basis. So it's a bit difficult, but in the end, it works out all right.
Mickey, has honesty gotten you into trouble lately?
Oh, occasionally it probably has gotten me in trouble, but I try to be forthright and honest. And Brent made a good point here. Sometimes you got to be honest with your friends. And I learned that very early on as an investor and in the newsletter writing business is the most money I've ever lost in this business, the worst decisions I've ever made have been made because my friends talked me into a deal. So we have to tread easily sometimes. It can be a slippery slope. And what you have to do is you got to separate your friends from the business.
But what happens if you represent a company, you're working for a company, and you see something you don't like? How do you manage that?
You mean actually working for a company?
Or if you're doing consulting work and, how to...
I've always, said what I thought. And in this business, we're never absolutely certain. And there's a lot of... This geology is sort of a hazy, it's not an exact science, a hazy science. So there's lots of room for disagreement on opinions and interpretations. Like Mickey and I might go to the same property and have a different interpretation of what the potential might be. And that's fine. And going back to some of these companies, some of my better friends that I've made since then, you can tell a good company and a good management team in that they will come back and try and convince you that and show you where you're wrong, and maybe you are, maybe you're not. But even if you're not, they respect you, and a good relationship builds up between those people. I'm sure you've had the same situation.
Absolutely. So honesty is always the best policy. So if you see something wrong, and I run a sponsorship model, so the companies I cover pay me to sponsor. Well, when they take me on, it's essentially I'm a consultant to them, and I tell them exactly what I think that they should be doing. Sometimes sometimes they agree with me, and sometimes they don't. But I see holes in their model or holes in their geology or in their business plan, and I am very forthright because I look at them hiring me to cover them as I'm a consultant to them, and I am trying to get their story out, and I want that story to be good.
So, as I mentioned, you two are two of the most honest guys I know, but how much honesty is really out there in this industry?
You hang out in a bad crowd, I think. There's a lot. There's a lot of good people in this industry doing really good work, and we've got to recognize that. I mean, there's certainly a lot of scams, a lot of liars in that industry, but there's a lot of really good people doing good work, and they deserve credit. I want to emphasize that.
Good.
And so I would say there are a lot of people that do really good work, and there are even more with really good intentions. But sometimes they don't realize the fallacy of their ways, or they don't see, because they're so internalized in their company, they don't see the things I do as an outsider coming in to evaluate the company. I wrote a piece a couple of years ago called "The Trouble with Geologists," and that has to do with the fact that geologists, being eternal optimists, always think their project or the next outcrop they go over the hill to look at is going to be the next big thing. So probably those people have very good intentions, but sometimes they are not really in touch with what I see as reality of the situation.
That's a good point, reality. This is what we're really doing. We're scientists, in theory, and we're out evaluating mineral properties. What a mineral property is nothing more than a geochemical or geophysical anomaly. And over the Earth's 4-point-something billion year evolution, that's what Earth does, is make anomalies, different changes in the rock type. So there's literally billions of anomalies out there. And our job is to find the very, very 1 in 1,000 spot where the geochemistry, the rocks, everything come together in the right place to form an economic deposit. And that happens 1 out of 1,000 times at best. So it's just the odds. And the sooner you recognize that, and I think Mickey and I try and do that, sooner you recognize you're in the wrong place, you're best off, or that company's best off to go someplace else, save their money, and go find the next one.
When's the last time you found that perfect pick?
Perfect pick, perfect place.
Perfect place.
It doesn't happen that often, but I'm fortunate that I can, I go around the world and look at everything.
Yeah.
So I can go look at the very few that look good, and I've had some good success finding, I think, or identifying properties that actually turn out to be economic. Certainly Long Canyon in Nevada, FDN in Ecuador. Those have been pretty good.
So finally, on this theme of honesty, Mickey, do you have any final words?
Well, I would reiterate what Brent says. There are many mineral occurrences in the world, and it seems like there's gold everywhere. Every company that's got a gold project is going to deliver some drill results that are going to catch the market's attention. But literally of those, for every 100 that drills a successful hole, maybe 1 or 2 of those will ever make a mine. So the odds are still very long.
Fantastic. Any final thoughts for you, Brent?
No, that's a good point. I mean, the odds are against you. When you start to see, when your stock starts to go up the price curve, start to go up, that's when you even got to get more and more critical as to where's the fatal flaw. Because we know 95% of them are going to go back down there. So identifying that fatal flaw before the crowd, you can still make money on a not discovery.
And I will reiterate what Brent said, and that has to go with you got to trade these stocks. So you look at the geology, you look at the share structure and the people and the valuation of the company, and when it starts getting a little on the upside and everybody's getting on the bandwagon, that's the time to sell. So these are not buy and hold stocks. Very seldom.
All right. So now finally, Brent, I'm going to ask you to hold my mic a second in the spirit of unity. Oops.
Lovely.
Hold on.
I tell you.
We stand united. And we will see all of you at our next stop at the PDAC in Toronto. Brent, Mickey, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for watching Kitco News.